When you see somebody rise, you feel you're sinking. When you see their light shining, you feel yours is dimming. This is why that inadequacy is highlighted inside of you. Envy isn't just about, oh, they've got a new car, I wish I had that new car. They've got a new relationship, I wish I was in a new relationship. They've got a better house, I wish I had a better house. It's much more darker and deeper than that. The fact is that envy cannot survive where a person is living in purpose. It's when you forget your purpose that envy inside of you thrives, because your life is stagnant. When you lose direction, envy is what will start suffocating you. And it's only when you pick yourself up, rise, and live with purpose that envy will lose its stronghold over you and allow you to breathe and be able to appreciate the things and the people around you. Because at the moment when your life is not progressing, you are finding everyone to be a threat around you. There is a silent poison spreading across the world. It's not like COVID. It's not airborne. It's not in our water. It's not in our food. It's inside of us, within each and every single one of us. This is the poison which causes relationships to break, friendships to break. You see it everywhere, in the workplace, in marriages, in social circles. Even when people are scrolling on social media, you see that they are suffering from this poison which is inside of them. And that poison is envy. Envy is an emotion which millions and millions, in fact billions, if there's billions of people on the planet, billions of people suffer from this emotion. You may not realize that poison is inside you, or you may know you've already had it diagnosed that this poison of envy exists inside of you, but you may be in denial. You may not be getting treatment for this poison, because many people, in all honesty, do not know what the treatment for envy is. This poison of envy is not because of things which are happening outside of you. When you see somebody else successful, you don't say that this is envy because of this external factor. The fact is that envy is because of your ego, which is inside of you. That's why you are suffering from this envy. And this is an emotion, this is a disease which many people are in denial about. They would never admit that they suffer envy, but yet you see it when they're scrolling through on social media. They look at other people's lives with extreme bitterness. They look at them through the lens of envy because they highlight their own failures and insecurities. That's why envy is more about you than it is about the other person. The fact is that when you see somebody rise, you feel you're sinking. When you see their light shining, you feel yours is dimming. This is why that inadequacy is highlighted inside of you. Envy isn't just about, oh, they've got a new car, I wish I had that new car. They've got a new relationship, I wish I was in a new relationship. They've got a better house, I wish I had a better house. It's much more darker and deeper than that. That emotion where you wish they did not have what they have just been given or blessed with. You wish you have it, but they don't have it. This is why envy is very dangerous, because before it affects the other person, before it even is noticed by them, you are the one who is suffering in silence because of your envy. You are the one who is perhaps having a sleepless night. The other person doesn't even know that you are envious of their situation, but you are the one who is suffering from inside. That's why envy is bad for you more than it's bad for the other person. That's why envy is tied very closely to the ego, because this is what you're thinking. Why not me? Why them? When is my moment going to come? When am I going to be successful? And the more fragile your ego is, the more intense that emotion of envy will be, and the more hatred you will end up having for the other person or people. And many times, you may not even know those people. You may not even be on first name terms. It's just that you've seen something and you want to have what they have, and sometimes pray that they don't have it. And most of the times, it affects the relationships around us, because it's when the closest people in our social or family circles get something that which we don't have or we desire, that's when our insecurities, our inadequacy is highlighted the most. If you want to see envy in its raw and unfiltered form, see how football fans behave. You can have two men, both logical, professional, rational guys, but as soon as a football match is involved, one team loses, see how the insults start flying. Oh, the referee was blind, it was a fluke, you guys got lucky today. It's not that the other team won. It's just, what does that success of the rival team represent? It manifests their own inadequacy and insecurity inside of them. This is when the ego starts shouting out. It starts saying, oh, they've won, but I feel have been defeated. They're successful, I'm a failure. This is just another microcosm of what operates outside in our life and other things as well, in terms of a colleague gets promoted and we feel insecure and left behind. A sibling gets married, we feel we've got left behind. The neighbor buys a new car, it shows our inadequacy that we don't have a car as good or as big as them. So that's why we resent it so much. Envy starts to become resentment. This is why it's a very dangerous trajectory if you do not know how to manage that emotion properly. This is a golden age for envy because of social media. Never before we as human beings have been exposed to so much about other people's lives. We get to see what holidays they go to, what their spouses looks like, what their houses look like, what cars they're driving, what their jobs, profession, literally how well they are doing. Even though it may be fake, they're just projecting a false persona online. But the fact is, it's an attack on our emotions. This is not about just passive scrolling anymore. It's an emotional warfare. And this envy is like a monster which sits inside of us. As I've mentioned, the enemy within the ego, that for many people it's alive and it's kicking. For some, it's dormant and it gets triggered now and then. For some, it may be completely lying flat dead, where they do not suffer from envy when they see other people succeeding. Maybe they're happy for them, but those people are very far and few in between. Majority of the people have this poison inside of them. Why do you think that people go around and damaging other people's property because of envy? The person who goes and takes a key and keys through the neighbor's car or somebody on their street because they're jealous or full of envy of the car that this other person is driving. Or we've had many cases where somebody's pursuing a relationship and they've not succeeded in attracting a certain person or keeping them in a relationship, and they've vowed that if they can't have them, then nobody else can have them, and they end up doing something so draconian like killing the person that they wanted to marry or have in their relationship, but because they couldn't have them, nobody else can have them, and they'll do something to damage or destroy them. So that shows you that if this emotion is not regulated, it's not controlled, and we let it dominate us, it can ultimately end up destroying us. This is far more dangerous than just feeling slightly envy of somebody because they've got a better car than you. It is something that needs to be managed. Let's look at some real life examples that we've had in the public domain of how envy affects real life people who have been in the public domain. Just a few celebrity examples. Just look at the Kardashians, a few sisters, all very popular, filthy rich, in the public limelight. But even between them, there's this envy. One gets more attention, the others feel left out, and they have to engineer a stunt or do something to get the attention back onto themselves. So even at a very high level, where they're not deprived or have any inadequacy like a normal common person would, they have envy in them. So it shows you this poison isn't just for people who are like poor or the have-nots. Even these people at the top end of society who are financially there with name and fame as well, they are full of envy. You remember the Taylor Swift and Kate Perry, the bad blood era between them. Both talented, both successful, both famous, but they had this competition between themselves, this rivalry, which was nothing but just a envy, ego clashes, where one was always trying to outdo the other. They were trying to just get increased validation from their fans, and that even trickled through to the fans, just like the football fans. The fans may not have their money, wealth, and name and fame, but they project their own insecurities onto these celebrities because their own egos are affected as well. Then you've got, even in a higher level of aristocratic circles, you've got King Prince William, now, the heir to the throne, and his younger brother Prince Harry. They had rivalry between themselves. And you would think, why would they be envious of each other when they've got everything on a plate? But it shows you that envy is an emotion which runs deep through everyone. Even in the whole royal establishment, the biggest name that ever existed in the modern era was Princess Diana. She became more successful, more loved by the public than all other royal officials within the royal institution. That's why she was a subject of so much envy and rivalry from within the House of Windsor. So there's so many examples, and that shows you that rivalry, envy, these ego, the enemy within, exists in every single one of us, irrespective of skin color, geographical location, social status, level of financial wealth. It exists. And the poor person is probably thinking that when I get to that level of financial success, and I will not be jealous of others because I will have everything I want. But these are examples that this envy, if it's not controlled, it will travel with you, grow with you, no matter where you end up, in whichever station of life, in terms of career, progress, money, name and fame, because it's basically your ego that you have to try and tame. If you don't, then it will end up controlling you. Look at your own life. How many people that once clapped for you stopped clapping when you started climbing that ladder of success? Maybe you got a promotion, maybe you became successful, and closest people around you started displaying that envy, which fractured those relationships. And at the same time, let me ask you the same question. When have you ever shown envy towards others? It's a very serious question. Ask yourself this question. I want you to do a self-introspection and ask yourself, have you been in a situation where you have felt that envy against others, maybe somebody very close to you, and by them rising in their sort of career ladder or financial success, it highlighted your own inferiority, insecurity? Maybe you thought it should have been me rising in that position, or because they have advanced forward, it highlights to you that you had that potential, but you never achieved it. This is why envy is a very corrosive emotion, that it is harming you before it harms anybody else, because you're the one who will have sleepless nights. You're the one who will get into anxiety and depression. You're the one who will end up having that resentment, and maybe such a resentment that it can actually have the potential of creating illnesses inside of you because of the anger that it can ultimately generate. This creates emotional toxicity inside of you. This envy is nothing but a self-destructive, self-inflicted psychological torture. And the ego is the torturer, the enemy within. So how do we overcome this feeling of envy, this emotion? It's by dismantling the ego inside of us. This ego that which we keep feeding, which keeps growing inside of us. The more we start feeding that emotion of envy, the bigger the problem is going to become. And at the end of the day, it will become your problem, not somebody else's. As I've mentioned repeatedly, it's a very dangerous, corrosive habit which is only harming yourself. So let's look at ways of how to overcome this problem of the ego, the enemy within, so you can reclaim this territory and be able to live a life free of envy. The fact is that you are feeling this envy because you are not operating from a higher purpose, a higher consciousness, where if you were working towards a higher goal in life, a higher purpose, you will not be affected by these constant comparisons with other people. You would be so busy with all your heart, mind, and body working towards a much higher grand objective and purpose in your life that you would not be scrolling passively, looking at other people and feeling that sort of insecurity, because you have your own goal, you have your own vision, and you know what your true potential is, and you will be on your way to achieving that potential. Number two, you should be feeling gratitude for what you already have without a shadow of doubt. No matter what you have, it may seem like there's a lackness, but it's still more than many other millions and billions of people out there who don't have a roof over their head, food on the table, clothes to cover their body. You're still blessed with so much that you need to implement a sense of gratitude in your life and be counting all the blessings that you have. Once you do that, you will feel less envy and comparison with people who have more than you. What you have is still substantially more than other people that are suffering in the world. Number three, develop some humility. This is when you appreciate others and you stop scanning them to see whether you can be better than them. You appreciate that people come in all different shapes and sizes. Some will have more, some will have less. And you have to celebrate this diversity, this dynamic in society, that people are going to have different things, different skills, different looks, different money. And this is what makes a society, a community flourish. Imagine if everybody was rich, everybody had the best cars, the best houses. Who's going to come and repair your washing machine? Who's going to come and collect your garbage? Who's going to clean the streets? This is a system which is a universal divine system to ensure that societies flourish and work seamlessly. If everybody was rich and lived like a king, who would be doing the work? So that's why people have got different skills, different financial positions, just to ensure that we can work harmoniously as a community. Then create some self-awareness about you. Do some self-introspection and accountability. Try and identify your weaknesses, where you can improve, which things you need to overcome. Because without this self-introspection, you will continue moving forward without diagnosing these diseases inside of you. Envy is a disease. It's an emotional disease. And as I've mentioned at the beginning, if it's not regulated, or more importantly, tamed, it will then end up enslaving you, and you'll be constantly living your life enslaved to these emotional ups and downs. As soon as you see somebody who's got more than you, as soon as you see somebody who's doing better than you, you'll be constantly enslaved by these emotional ups and downs, and your life will be like a yo-yo, and this will cause mental instability. The fact is that envy cannot survive where a person is living in purpose. It's when you forget your purpose that envy inside of you thrives, because your life is stagnant. When you lose direction, envy is what will start suffocating you. And it's only when you pick yourself up, rise, and live with purpose that envy will lose its stronghold over you and allow you to breathe and be able to appreciate the things and the people around you. Because at the moment when your life is not progressing, you are finding everyone to be a threat around you, because it shines the light on your own insecurity, on your own inefficiency and lack of growth. So the most important thing is sort yourself out inwardly, and that will reflect positively on the outside. And that's why you need to do this to defeat that enemy within, the ego which is fueling the envy, which is causing you emotional turmoil.